In the heart of Jerusalem, where three major religions converge, something extraordinary is unfolding. A storm is brewing, but this isn't just any political conflict. This is the stage for the greatest prophetic event in human history. Are you ready to witness the moment when ancient prophecies come to life before your eyes? The city of Jerusalem has long been the center of spiritual and political conflict, a battleground for both faiths and empires. Yet today, as tensions rise, the city stands on the brink of something far greater than any earthly dispute. Beneath its ancient walls, a prophecy is beginning to stir, a prophecy that has remained dormant for over 2 millennia. You might not feel it as you walk through its ancient streets, but there's a palpable sense of urgency here. Jewish scholars, Orthodox priests, and Christian pilgrims are all drawn to Jerusalem, not just by faith, but by the weight of what's about to unfold. For the first time in history, all three religions are watching, waiting, and preparing for the same event, the same divine moment that has been foretold for centuries. Jerusalem isn't just a city, it's a stage. The Bible has long predicted that Jesus will return to this very place, and now the world's most sacred city is laying the groundwork for that very event. The prophecies are aligning, but this is no ordinary political crisis. This is the calm before the storm that will shake the very foundations of the world. The Mount of Olives, once the site of Jesus' agonizing prayer, now sits directly above a major geological fault line. Scientists say a massive earthquake could split the mountain at any moment, just as the Bible described. Could this be the moment? Are we witnessing the beginning of the fulfillment of one of the most incredible prophecies in history? Jerusalem isn't just a city, it's a stage. The Bible has long predicted that Jesus will return to this very place. And now the world's most sacred city is laying the groundwork for that very event. The prophecies are aligning, but this is no ordinary political crisis. This is the calm before the storm that will shake the very foundations of the world. The Mount of Olives, once the site of Jesus' agonizing prayer, now sits directly above a major geological fault line. The Mount of Olives isn't just a hill in Jerusalem. It's the focal point of a prophecy that has been etched into the minds of believers for centuries. Zechariah 14:4 tells us, "On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley." This is not a metaphorical event. It's a literal promise that Jesus will return to this very mountain, and when he does, the earth will tremble with his arrival. Here's where it gets chilling. The Mount of Olives is located directly above the Dead Sea Fault, one of the most active seismic fault lines in the world. Geologists have been monitoring the area for years, and the pressure building beneath the surface suggests that a massive earthquake could strike at any time. But this isn't just a natural disaster waiting to happen. It's a biblical prophecy that could unfold exactly as it was written thousands of years ago. Imagine the scene, the mountain splitting wide open as Jesus' feet touch the earth once more. Just as the prophecy foretells, as the earth shakes, the people of Jerusalem will witness the fulfillment of something they have been waiting for since the dawn of time. Could this geological fault be God's appointed trigger for the final chapter of history? But there's more, something even more profound. As the world watches Jerusalem, a new chapter in biblical prophecy is not just unfolding, it's accelerating at a pace none of us expected. As the world watches Jerusalem, a new chapter in biblical prophecy is not just unfolding, it's accelerating at a pace none of us expected. There's another piece of this puzzle that cannot be ignored, the Third Temple. For centuries, the Jewish people have longed for the rebuilding of their sacred temple in Jerusalem. The first two temples were destroyed, but the third temple remains a prophetic dream, a dream that may soon become a reality. The Temple Institute, a group dedicated to rebuilding the temple, has spent decades preparing for this moment. They've already created sacred items mentioned in the Bible, the golden menorah, the altar for incense, the priestly garments, all meticulously crafted to fulfill biblical specifications. They've trained priests, and they're ready. But there's one thing they're waiting for, the moment the temple can be rebuilt. That moment is closer than anyone imagined. And here's the most astonishing detail, the perfect red heifer. According to the Old Testament, a red heifer, free of any blemishes, is required to purify the temple before it can be used for sacrifices. For centuries, this has been possible. But in 2022, something extraordinary happened. 5 flawless red heifers arrived in Israel. They were inspected by Jewish rabbis, certified as pure, and are now being cared for by the Temple Institute. This is no coincidence. This is prophecy being fulfilled, piece by piece. But what does this mean for the world? The moment the temple is rebuilt, a chain of events will be set in motion, and the world will never be the same. But there's a massive obstacle standing in the way of the Third Temple's construction: the Dome of the Rock, one of Islam's holiest sites. This mosque, built on the very location where the First and Second Temple stood, is not just a structure, it's a symbol of deep religious and political significance. For Jews, this is the site of their most sacred place, the Temple Mount, and they've long desired to rebuild their temple right there. For Muslims, this is the spot where Prophet Muhammad is believed to have ascended into heaven, making it one of their most revered locations. This overlap creates a powder can of religious and political tensions. The very idea of rebuilding the Jewish temple on this site is not only controversial, it could spark worldwide conflict. The Dome of the Rock is inextricably linked to Jerusalem's religious and political landscape. The question is, can these tensions be managed without igniting a global war?
This isn't a small issue. The stakes are too high. If construction on the Third Temple begins, it would not just be a religious event, it would be a global flashpoint. Every world power would have to choose a side, and the consequences would be far-reaching. Could this event be the final trigger that ignites the world into Armageddon? Some biblical scholars believe that the battle for Jerusalem will set the stage for the rise of the Antichrist and the fulfillment of end-time prophecies. As Jerusalem's preparations continue, the world is left in a state of suspended tension, waiting for the next move. The forces at play are immense, and the implications for both the Middle East and the entire world are staggering. The construction of the Third Temple isn't just significant for the Jewish people, it's a prophetic marker that will set the stage for the rise of the Antichrist, a figure who will change the world as we know it. The Bible clearly outlines what will happen after the temple is built. In 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 4, it is written that the Antichrist will exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. This event is known as the abomination of desolation. The temple will be a place of worship, yes, but it will also become a stage for the greatest deception the world has ever seen. The Antichrist, a leader who will appear to bring peace, will betray that peace in the most blasphemous way possible by entering the temple, sitting in the Holy of Holies, and declaring himself as God. This shocking act will trigger unimaginable chaos and a spiritual crisis that will spread across the globe. The abomination of desolation isn't just an event in the Bible. It's something that could happen within our lifetimes. For believers, this marks the beginning of the Great Tribulation, a period of intense suffering and persecution before the return of Jesus Christ. And the most terrifying part of this prophecy is that the temple must be rebuilt before the Antichrist can claim his throne. As the preparations for the temple progress, the question becomes, are we on the verge of witnessing this momentous event? Will we live to see the world change in the blink of an eye? The timeline is accelerating, and what once seemed distant is now right at our doorstep. One of the most astonishing signs that the fulfillment of these prophecies is drawing near is the arrival of the red heifers. In the Old Testament, the ritual of purification required the sacrifice of a perfect red heifer, an unblemished cow that had never been yoked. For 2,000 years, no such heifer had been found. But in 2022, something extraordinary happened. 5 flawless red heifers arrived in Israel. This is a pivotal moment in biblical prophecy. The Temple Institute, the very organization preparing for the construction of the Third Temple, was involved in this incredible event. These heifers, inspected and approved by Jewish rabbis, are the key to the purification process necessary to consecrate the temple. In the Bible, this ritual is outlined in Numbers 19, 2-3. This is a requirement of the law that the Lord has commanded. Tell the Israelites to bring you a red heifer without defect or blemish and that has never been under a yoke. To some, this is just a symbolic fulfillment of an ancient law, but to others, this event marks the end of waiting, the culmination of centuries of prayer, hope, and longing for the return of the temple. The arrival of the red heifers has reignited the belief that the final preparations for the temple are underway, and with them, the inevitable approach of the last days. However, there's something far deeper at play. Why now? Why is this prophecy, which was thought to be impossible, come to fruition now? Is it simply a coincidence, or is it part of a larger divine plan that is setting the stage for the return of Jesus Christ? This event is one of the most overlooked prophetic signs in modern history, and it demands our attention. As the heifers are kept safe and prepared for sacrifice, we must ask ourselves, what does this mean for us today? The arrival of the red heifers is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, a puzzle that leads directly to the heart of Jerusalem. This city, home to the Third Temple, has become a global flashpoint. Three major religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all claim this sacred land, and each believe the end times will unfold here. But as tensions rise, it's clear that Jerusalem's fate will not be decided by faith alone. Political and military forces are aligning in ways that are impossible to ignore. The site of the future temple is the very location where the Dome of the Rock currently stands, a revered Islamic site. To the Jews, this land represents their most sacred ground, the place where Solomon's temple once stood. To Christians, it's the place of Jesus' prophecy and return. And for Muslims, it's the place from which Prophet Muhammad is believed to have ascended to heaven. These three religions, each with their own deep convictions, converge in this one city, and the pressure is mounting. The question is, what happens when the temple is rebuilt? Could this act trigger a global conflict? If construction begins, it would not only upset the balance of power in the Middle East, it would spark a worldwide war unlike anything we've seen before. The world's superpowers are watching with bated breath. World leaders understand that the situation in Jerusalem is about to explode. The stakes are too high.
We are entering a period of unprecedented tension, and what happens here will set the stage for the ultimate battle. Some believe this will be the precursor to Armageddon, the final confrontation between good and evil, with Jerusalem as the battleground. The question is, will this be the war that ushers in the Antichrist, or is there something greater at stake, something that could shake the entire foundation of human history? As the battle for Jerusalem intensifies, the world is on the brink of the Great Deception, a prophecy that will forever change the course of human history. The Bible tells us that before Jesus returns, the Antichrist will rise, a leader who will bring about a false peace only to betray it in the most shocking way. This leader will make a covenant with many for 1/7, but in the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. At the heart of this deception will be the rebuilt Third Temple, the very symbol of peace and worship for Jews. The Antichrist will enter this temple, sit in the Holy of Holies, and declare himself to be God. This is the abomination of desolation. It is the moment when the ultimate betrayal takes place, the moment when the world will be plunged into chaos. The Antichrist, once seen as a savior, will reveal his true nature, and from that moment, the world will be forced to choose the truth of Christ or the lie of the Antichrist. This event will set the stage for the final conflict, Armageddon. But it won't end there. The Bible tells us that after the deception and chaos, Jesus will return to reclaim his kingdom, but not as the humble servant he once was. This time he will come as the King of Kings, the Lion of Judah, to establish justice and righteousness on earth. The question is, are we ready for this moment? Are we prepared to face the deception that will sweep the world? And when the Antichrist rises, will we stand firm in the truth of the gospel? The question is, are you ready for the moment? Are you prepared to face the deception that will sweep the world? As the world stands on the edge of catastrophe, with the rise of the Antichrist and the unfolding of the Great Tribulation, there's one undeniable truth that stands above all. Jesus Christ will return. His second coming is not a distant dream or an abstract concept. It is a literal event that will take place in Jerusalem, the city where everything began. In Zechariah 14:4, it is written, "On that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley." This prophecy, long held by believers as the culmination of God's plan for humanity, will become a reality. Jesus will return physically, not as the suffering servant who died on the cross, but as the conquering king. His feet will touch the very mountain that witnessed his agony, and when he returns, the earth will tremble beneath his power. The final victory of Christ will not be a secret event. It will be visible to the entire world. As Jesus descends, the heavens will open and all will see him, coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him. Revelation 1:7. It will be the most dramatic and undeniable event in human history. No one will be able to deny his power, his majesty, or his authority. For believers, this is the moment we've been waiting for. The promise of Jesus' return brings hope, justice, and the eternal restoration of the earth. But for those who have rejected him, this will be a moment of reckoning. The time to choose will be over. There will be no second chances. The King is coming, and when he does, he will set everything right. The question is, will you be ready for his return? Will you stand firm in your faith, or will you be swept away by the lies of the world? As the prophetic signs continue to align, there's one question that echoes louder than any other. Are you ready for the return of Jesus Christ? The world is on the brink of transformation, and the final chapter of history is unfolding before our very eyes. The preparations in Jerusalem, the rise of the Third Temple, the coming deception, and the return of the King, all of these events are converging, signaling that the time is near. The Bible makes it clear that no one knows the day or hour of Jesus' return, but we are called to be watchful, to be ready, and to live our lives in expectation of his arrival. Just as a servant prepares for their master's return, we are called to live with urgency, staying faithful to the gospel, serving others, and spreading the message of Christ's salvation. The stakes could not be higher. For those who believe, the return of Jesus will be a moment of rejoicing, as he will bring justice, peace, and eternal life. But for those who have rejected him, it will be a time of great fear and desolation. As the world's final rebellion will be crushed in an instant, the time for complacency is over. We must ask ourselves, how will we respond to his call? Are we living with the awareness that the King could return at any moment? Are we ready to stand before him, not as strangers, but as faithful servants who have followed him with all our hearts? The final call is here. Prepare yourself. The King is coming, and when he arrives, there will be no turning back. The time to act is now. Will you be ready?